Have you ever wished to be in someone else's shoes for a day? Now let's dive into a fascinating tale that takes this idea and runs with it. Our protagonists, Jill and Jack, two friends as thick as thieves, stumble upon an ordinary-looking pair of binoculars on an otherwise ordinary day. Little do they know, these aren't just any binoculars. These are magical binoculars, a gateway to an extraordinary adventure. Their curiosity piqued, Jill and Jack inspect the binoculars with wide-eyed wonder. They're just binoculars, right? But why the odd glint? Why the strange weight? Why the peculiar aura of mystery that seems to hang around them? The two friends exchange glances, a silent agreement passing between them. There's more to these binoculars than meets the eye, they decide. Jill, the more adventurous of the two, is the first to give it a go. She peers through the binoculars, half expecting to see a distant bird or a far-off tree, but what she sees is Jack. Not Jack standing next to her, but Jack as seen through his own eyes. She gasps, dropping the binoculars in shock. Jack, who's been watching Jill's reaction with bated breath, can't help but burst into laughter at her startled expression. But his laughter subsides as he picks up the binoculars, curiosity gnawing at him. He looks through them and there he is, seeing the world through Jill's eyes. Their initial shock gives way to a ripple of excitement. The possibilities, the adventures, the pranks, they could literally be in each other's shoes, seeing the world from an entirely different perspective. It's a chance too enticing to pass up. Jill and Jack, always up for an adventure, are quick to embrace this strange discovery. Sure, it's a bit scary, a touch overwhelming, but it's also incredibly exciting. They find themselves standing on the brink of an adventure unlike any other, the magic binoculars promising a journey filled with laughter, learning, and a whole new understanding of each other. And so, with a mix of trepidation and excitement, they decided to give the binoculars a whirl. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you're not you anymore. That's exactly what happened to Jill and Jack, two friends who stumbled upon a pair of magic binoculars. These weren't your average binoculars, oh no, they had the power to switch bodies. And so, one fateful day, Jill and Jack decided to take a peek through these extraordinary lenses and found themselves living each other's lives. Imagine the initial shock, the sudden shift from familiar to foreign. Jill, now in Jack's body, found herself towering over everyone, her voice deep and booming. She was suddenly expected to know all about football and video games, things she had only a passing interest in before. On the other hand, Jack, now in Jill's petite frame, was baffled by the complexities of braiding hair and the nuances of picking the right outfit. He was taken aback by how everyone seemed to expect him to be soft-spoken and gentle, a far cry from his usual boisterous self. The day was filled with hilarious mix-ups and blunders. Jill, not used to Jack's strength, ended up breaking a door handle, much to her embarrassment. Jack, unfamiliar with Jill's passion for art, found himself struggling to sketch even the simplest of shapes in her art class, eliciting laughter from her classmates. But it wasn't all fun and games. They faced challenges too, from the mundane to the profound. Jill discovered that being tall wasn't all it was cracked up to be when she kept bumping her head on low doorways. Jack, on the other hand, realized how unsettling it was to walk home alone at night as a girl. As they navigated through each other's routines, they began to understand the struggles the other faced, the pressures they were under, the expectations they had to live up to. They started to see the world through each other's eyes, quite literally. But as the day wore on, they started to realize that this was more than just a fun experiment. It's one thing to imagine someone else's life and another to actually live it. Let's dive into the fascinating journey of Jill and Jack as they switch lives for a day. As the sun rose in the sky, they found themselves looking at the world through a different lens, literally and figuratively. Jill, now in Jack's body, was all set to enjoy a day free of chores, only to be met with the surprising challenge of fixing a flat tire on Jack's bicycle. Who knew it'd be such an ordeal? Jack, on the other hand, stepped into Jill's shoes and was immediately bombarded with a flurry of tasks. From cooking breakfast to making beds, he was on a never-ending roller coaster of household chores. Despite the initial struggles, they both persevered, trying to navigate their way through the day. Jill finally managed to fix the tire, but not without a few hilarious attempts. Picture this, a bicycle tire inflated so much it looked like it was about to burst. Meanwhile, Jack, after accidentally burning the toast and spilling milk all around, finally managed to whip up a somewhat decent meal. Through these humorous incidents, they began to see the real challenges each one faced on a daily basis. Jill realized that Jack's life wasn't as carefree as she'd imagined, filled with its own set of hurdles. Jack, in turn, gained an appreciation for all the tasks Jill juggled daily, understanding that they were far from trivial. They began to empathize with each other, seeing the struggles and hurdles the other had to overcome. It was a day of revelations and newfound respect. They began to comprehend the complexity and uniqueness of each other's lives, understanding that everyone faces their own battles, and it's not as simple as it seems from the outside. By the end of the day, Jill and Jack had learned more about each other than they ever had before. Through humor, trials, and tribulations, they discovered the power of empathy, the beauty of understanding, and the significance of walking a mile in someone else's shoes. Returning to your own body after a day in someone else's shoes can be quite a relief, but also a revelation. Imagine the joy of returning home after a long, tumultuous journey. That's exactly how Jill and Jack felt as they found themselves back in their own bodies. But this was not just a relief, it was a profound awakening. Their bodies felt like familiar territories after a day of unexpected adventures. Jack, who had swapped bodies with Jill, had a newfound respect for the delicate balance Jill maintained between her studies, chores, and hobbies. He found himself appreciating the little things, like the hours Jill spent practicing her violin, something he had previously found annoying. On the other hand, Jill, having spent a day in Jack's shoes, had a deeper understanding of his struggles. She had always thought of Jack as carefree and laid back. However, she came to realize that beneath his carefree exterior lay a multitude of responsibilities. He had to help his parents in their business, take care of his younger siblings, all while keeping up with his studies. The switch had been a roller coaster ride filled with humorous incidents that would make them chuckle for days. Like when Jack, in Jill's body, tried to do her ballet routine and almost tripped over his own feet. Or when Jill, in Jack's body, had to deal with his little brother's tantrums. But it wasn't all fun and games. The experience had opened their eyes to the reality of each other's lives. They realized that everyone has their own battles to fight, their own mountains to climb. They understood the importance of empathy, of stepping into someone else's shoes to truly comprehend their struggles and feelings. With this newfound understanding, they felt a change within themselves. They became more patient, more understanding, and more compassionate towards each other. They learned to appreciate the differences that made them unique and the shared experiences that brought them together. And with that, they returned the binoculars to their hiding place, forever changed by their experience. So, what did Jill and Jack learn from their magical, chaotic day? Well, let's unravel that, shall we? Our friends found themselves on a whirlwind adventure, all thanks to a pair of magical binoculars. This extraordinary artifact didn't just offer them a chance to glimpse into each other's lives, it allowed them to step right into them, to live them. They swapped bodies, they swapped lives, and through this, they swapped perspectives. As Jack stepped into Jill's shoes, he experienced firsthand the challenges she faced, the everyday struggles that were unique to her. He learned that Jill's life wasn't as simple as he had thought. The same goes for Jill, who, stepping into Jack's world, saw the world through his eyes. She saw the hurdles he jumped, the battles he fought, and the triumphs he savored. Through this extraordinary journey, they learned that everyone's life comes with its own set of trials and victories. They realized that it's easy to judge someone's life from the outside, but to truly understand, one must experience it from the inside. They learned the importance of empathy, of understanding, and of respecting each other's unique experiences. This adventure also taught them about the power of perspective. Seeing the world through someone else's eyes can be an enlightening experience. It can make us realize that our ways of seeing things are not the only ways. It can help us understand better, to be more accepting, and to be more compassionate. Jill and Jack's magical day was not just an adventure, it was a journey of self-discovery and growth. They came out of it with a deeper understanding of each other and of themselves. They learned that empathy is not just about feeling someone else's pain, but also about appreciating their joy, their struggles, and their triumphs. So the next time you wish to be in someone else's shoes, remember Jill and Jack's adventure. You never know what you might discover. It could be a lesson in empathy, a new perspective, or even a newfound appreciation for your own unique journey.